Accountex are at day one, and it wouldn't be Accountex without Carl Reeder. How are you doing?
I'm really good. You're right, it wouldn't be Accountex without me, but normally I'm in the Fox, not here.
Well, you're an ever-present. You've been coming to this for how long now?
So I was actually surprised myself, but I looked at the videos of the very first Accountex, which I believe was 2012.
Wow.
And I saw myself...
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And for those of you who are at Accountex, you'll know that there's t-shirts, there's all kinds of different dress.
Swag.
Yeah, swag. I stood out like a sore thumb wearing a jumper rather than a suit and tie.
Okay, well you've never been one to conform to the dress code, Carl, have you?
So I'm trying to outdo myself today. I'm kind of going for the geography teacher out on a day trip look with the cords and the cardigan.
Rocking it.
Yes.
Now, for people that don't know who you are, and they're not many, you've got your fingers in so many pies. So just give us a brief overview of what you're working on right now.
Yeah, of course. So look, I'm an accidental accountant, acquired the firm I was working in, did an MBO, became chairman. So that's D&T Chartered Accountants. I'm head of a Practitioners Panel of the ACCA. I'm head of accounting, which is an ambassadorial role for Ignition. I also act as ambassador for a few other brands and government entities that are looking to reach the small business market. And finally, I'm an author. So I wrote Boss It recently, which was a best-selling book at WH Smith's, and speaking on any stage I can find.
Yes, and you clearly have more hours in your day than the rest of us, Carl. When you come to an event like this, how do you get straight in your own mind what you'll be doing?
Okay, so...
It's difficult for you, it's different for you.
It is. So in truth, with Accountex, I get involved in a lot of the sessions. So I've spoken 3 times today already.
Okay.
So actually, I don't have much time to go around the stands and to meet and greet. Yeah. But what I do is I ask my team members to come along so that they can see the latest and greatest. They can find out what tech's going on. They can build rapport with our suppliers. And they find that a really good way of getting to know the wider industry. But also, it removes the filter, because otherwise I would just be acting as a translator of what I believe their concerns and needs are, but actually they're embracing that change.
You're not just bringing back what you think is happening, they can make their own take on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The vibe's different. Are you sensing that relief that I am, Carl, that people after a couple of years out are pleased to get back in person?
Rob, it's been amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
because you're a relationship person.
Yes, so look, on the tube, there was probably 2 people in the whole carriage wearing masks.
Oh, wow.
It actually felt like we were back to normal.
You mentioned the normal word, is it really?
Well, we don't know, and
because COVID's not gone away, has it?
It's not gone away, and clearly we're going to have to be cautious of it. But I think that particularly in London, and I think it's different in London to other cities, most of us who are out and about regularly in London have not just had COVID once, we've had it twice. We've all been jabbed, etc., etc. We know that it's something we just need to face up to, and I think today is evidence of that. You know, we've really been buzzing. We had a packed out theatre just here with people sat next to each other, no social distancing, and I get that some people are still cautious, but actually this is heartwarming to see that people are back out, back doing business, and happy to see each other again.
Yeah, you get in a sense too, Carl, that there's been a bit of budget squirreled away because things seem to have lifted up a little bit, stands are a bit brighter, a bit sparkier, a bit more tech. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, so there's definitely a change in the standard of stands. I think that we just need to look at all of these massive banners hanging down in different shapes and sizes. So it's been really good to see the investment's been there from the suppliers. Now, clearly, they've got a commercial objective with that. They want to reach the firm owners. But it's good to see. I think that what the general practitioner community will want to see is for some of that investment also funnel through into R&D and supporting the accountants.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you feel are the key skills and attributes that accounting practitioners are going to need to develop over the next few years to stay competitive and relevant?
Okay, so one of my observations, and don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic talk, but it was a talk about cryptocurrency.
Yes.
And it was actually by a good friend of mine, Ket, and he was speaking, and half the audience wanted to know about tax. So not just the technical details of crypto, but the technical details of tax on crypto. The reality is, for an accountant to survive, let alone thrive over the next few years, they really need to be doubling down on operational skills, they need to be doubling down on strategic thinking, they need to be doubling down on sales skills. They need to become a more rounded professional than being the expert in tax or financial standards.
You mentioned professional standards there. You're aligned with the ACCA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. What is their role, the professional associations, institutes, and regulatory bodies, Carl, in driving that agenda for change and adopting some of these skills you're talking about?
Yeah, so I believe they've got a vital role, and I believe that ACCA, ICAW, AAT, all of the others, there are more than one,
yes.
They can all do more. They can all do more, and I'm a passionate advocate that they should do more to help take accountants from the perceived knowledge that they need, i.e. the technical standards, which is the bread and butter, that's the bare minimum you need. You need it, but it's
to
the
get
bare
in the
minimum.
game,
But actually to provide that level above. And I believe ACCA, I genuinely believe, are leading the way with that and providing the best content for their members and trying to support, but there's always more that we can do.
And we're in an international world, aren't we?
Yes.
And what's happening here in the UK is maybe a microcosm of everything else. And what are you seeing internationally and how things are changing and shaking up?
So it's interesting. This show is looking really good, but I've been to a number of expos internationally.
You travel all over, Carl.
I have. So look, I was in Madrid last week, and it was at the EMEA Centre, and that's probably the equivalent in Madrid to the Excel in London.
Got it.
Okay,
so it's where we're in right now, the Excel in London.
Absolutely. So it's the major exhibition hall, but it was empty. There was real fear, and the attendees just weren't there. They still have mask mandates. There's still a lot of concern about being out and about. Likewise in Paris, I was at the Porte de Versailles exhibition hall probably 3-4 weeks ago. Again, footfall was down. So I think we are leading the way insofar as events getting back to normal. I am visiting the States over the next month, going over a couple of times to the Javits Center and in Florida. So I'll see a bit more then to see if they are even further ahead. We don't know. But it seems to me that the COVID regulations in nation by nation are determining the appetite to attend these kinds of events. But it is fantastic to see this. It's fantastic to see people around, a bit of a buzz, and we're allowed to handshake as well, which is amazing.
You've missed that, haven't you? You've missed that buzz.
I really have. I'm a people person.
Yeah, and let's say we're having this conversation in 2 or 3 years' time. It is hard to predict the future, clearly, with everything that's going on, but what kind of things do you think we might be talking about? You're pretty innovative, you're a pioneer. Where are you leading accounting?
Sure, so I think that first things first, the pandemic will, whilst COVID might still be around, it will be normalised. It won't be a topic of conversation. However, there will be certain recurring themes. There will be the theme of advisory. We'll still be talking about the fact we need to do that and we're not doing it, etc., which has been talked about year after year after year for 30 odd years.
Of course.
There will still be the theme of making tax digital and regulatory changes. They will still continue, and that will be something that accountants will need to be on top of. And there'll still be the push for soft skills, but I genuinely believe there'll be no substantial shifts, there'll be no massive innovations in technology, there'll be incremental improvements, there'll be no massive regulatory changes, there'll just be progress. So actually the conversations in 3, 4, 5 years' time will be the same as today, just without talking about COVID.
When we're talking about talent, we know there's a problem perhaps with the image of accounting and that less people are coming in or seeing it as an attractive career choice. Would that be fair?
I think so. I think there is still a negative perception about the stereotype of an accountant, about the role of the accountant, and it's not perceived to be a very fun job. Now, let's be honest, not many people say this, because most people say, oh, accountants are sexy. We're not. It's a really boring job.
You make it a bit more passionate.
But there's the opportunity through the job to really make a difference to people's lives. And that's what we need to focus on, is actually not what you do with the data in terms of process, but what you do with the data in terms of communication and impact.
Final question, Carl. You're working with 77 Ventures, you're working with Ignition. What are you seeing with the vendors out there in the way they're modifying what's happening, their R&D, perhaps the direction they're going in, and the way they're trying to get the ear of the accountant?
So I think that the vendors are doing a very good job at educating the market and strengthening the market. So we're in a position now where most firms can buy enterprise level software, but even 10 years ago, we couldn't have dreamed of building ourselves. You can buy it for a 10 quid a month subscription, 100 quid a month, whatever. You can get it off the shelf. There is a risk to the profession of automation, and that risk of automation and disruption, I believe, comes from the banks. It comes from anybody else with a financial one-to-one relationship with business owners. the vendors, hopefully they're there to help the accountants. If they are, I think that they'll be trusted and will be the voice of the industry for some time.
Quick final plug for Accountex. For people that haven't been, are thinking of coming, what would you say to them about next year's show, Carl?
Just do it. Book your ticket, come along, see what it's all about.
Well, that's been brilliant. Carl Reader, thanks so much for your
Fantastic.
time.
Well, good to see you, mate. Cheers.